So here I am doing my violin practice, and I'm doing my grade 4. I've got the new round O, which is the first piece in the ABRSM violin grade 4 book. Now, I've got a piano part here that I'm going to try and realise onto GarageBand. Don't forget that if you have a violin lesson once a week, you might only be able to have an accompanist that sort of frequency, but it'd be nice to have something at home that you can practice with. Now, if I go to plus, which is our new sound, new song on GarageBand here, I'm going to find the piano. So, smart piano. Okay, there we go. So first of all, I need to set the key that this is in. Now your teacher will be able to do this sort of thing for you where they can tell you, well, you should know what key it's in anyway, but the chords from the piano part are sometimes a little tricky to realise unless you know your music theory. That's kind of a separate lesson really. But at any rate, I need a key signature of D minor. There we go. Which means that my chords that are available are suddenly different to what they were in C. So I need D minor, I've got that. I need an A, yeah, I've got that. A D minor, C, yeah, that's there. F, D minor A, B flat, C, D minor, A, and D major. D major I haven't got, but I can change a chord that I haven't used by going to Edit Chords. And I'm going to pick this one here, the E diminished, and I'm going to turn it into a D major. D major chord. There we go. Now I've got my thing in place. Now, the autoplay function will allow the piano to generate some sort of rhythm. But actually with this, none of the styles on this are particularly good. So I'm actually just going to play chords. But I'm going to use the sustain function so that I can play a D minor chord in several different inversions. That's fine. So I'm going to record a track now. Now the tempo, it says on the music, is minim equals 84. That means a crotchet is 168, so it's a fair old trot. But I'm going to record maybe a little bit slower. Let's try recording at a tempo of 84 crotchets per minute. So this is exactly half the speed that you'd expect this piece to go. So I'm going to start, maybe I'm just going to have a little intro, maybe 4 bars of D minor, so I can really set myself up and get the timing internalized. So. Now the reason I left a bit at the end was just that when you finish practicing that section, you can just press stop and go back to the beginning rather than it looping. You don't want to practice things at a loop. I know it says that you repeat this, but usually in an exam, the ABRSM exam, you wouldn't do any repeats unless it says so, or whether it's a da capo, which there is actually on this piece right at the end. But we're just looking at the first 8 bars. Let's speed that up now to 168, which is our tempo, and you can hear how the piano parts will go with the violin part. Just before I do that, however, I'm going to quantize the piano so that it is really strictly with the beat there. There was nothing faster than a quaver, so 8th note is going to be fine for me. There we go. So I'll go back to the main window as well so that I can see where I am. Okay. Okay, so that works all right. The chords are all there. Now, the thing is just about loud enough to practice with. But with an iPad or an iPhone, you can stick it inside a pint glass or point it towards the piano, and it'll feed back a bit more sound to you, at you. Now, the violin is quite loud, especially in a room like this with hard furnishings, so you could put the mute on. And just to get the timing anyway, I know it says mezzo forte at the beginning, but just to get the timing, you could play nice and you could play a bit quieter. So I'm going to lower the tempo now to maybe 112 or something, so that I'm really going to try and hammer the timing of those quavers to make sure that they really are even. Playing slowly enables you to get that rhythmic security, so that in the end, when you come to play this, the whole thing has rhythmic intent. You mean to play what you're playing, rather than it's sort of, rather than the, tail wagging the dog, as it were. I can get my notes as well here. There it is. There we go. So that is one option with working with violin, or it could be anything. It could be your oboe practice, clarinet, trombone, trumpet, whatever it is. You could make a backing track using the chords. Generally speaking, there won't be more than 8 chords. And if there is one that's extra, but it's only for one beat, just sweep it under the carpet. I'm sure it'd be absolutely fine. So the other thing you can do, and I've also got the music to take 5 here. Now this is in the list C of this book, tune by Paul Desmond from the Dave Brubeck Quartet, world famous tune. So I've got the iReal Pro here. Now I've got take 5 loaded up in the key of E minor, which is what the tune is in. So, and I've also got 144, which is the tempo that it specifies. Now, I'm just going to make sure that... Now, when I hear this, I'm an ABRSM examiner, by the way. When I hear this, very often I hear the 5-4 occasionally becomes 4, which is obviously a problem because it's going to come out of step with the piano part. But, it's important to practice with some sort of backing track. Now, this one, the iReal Pro, is really good because it is a jazz thing. Now, at the moment, I've got the chord sequence here, which lines up with this. There's a slight difference at the end, but this allows you at least to practice the whole piece. So, and this is also swing. So instead of this, I'm not doing the bowing that's there, but it's the rhythm, and this one sounds great if it really is on the case with its timing. So iReal Pro works by giving you a counting. Now, a counting of 5 isn't exactly natural, but you've got to work out which beat you're going to come in, and actually it's beat 3. So let's give this a go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. It's a really nice thing to play to, and it's stylistically right as well. That's more difficult to do in GarageBand with this particular tune because we're in 5/4 time. GarageBand only gives you 4/4, 3/4, or 6/8. That's not to say you couldn't record a 5/4 swing rhythm, but it would be a bit more tricky, and the metronome would start, getting on your nerves because it's putting the emphasized beat in the wrong place, so it's not all that good. So it comes in beat 4, not beat 3. Beat 4 at the beginning, 4 out of 5. 1, 2, 3. Now, like GarageBand, you can change the tempo. Let's try 90 or 85, or 90. 2, 3, 4. 3. Now it only gave me one beat, one bar count in there because the tempo's slower. So I'm going to do that once again. You get a certain amount of flexibility with those semiquavers. In this particular tune, the semiquavers are meant to be played straight. So the quavers are swung, but the semiquavers aren't. So I've heard this played a few times in the exam where the accompanist also isn't really playing its swing. That could be a bit of a problem because the violinist may have practiced it along with the record or done a lot of listening to the record. But there we go. There are two ways that you could practice a piece like the New Rondo or Take 5 using technology to its fullest extent and to help you. There are people who say, oh, no, you shouldn't be using that. You should be having a metronome. You should be concentrating on your timing. Well, yes, of course. But that's what this does. It does allow you to get that timing really nailed. You can play scales with this. If I go back to GarageBand, scales. Hey. So let's say I'm doing my G minor scale. I'm going to add a percussion track. So I'm going to go to drummer and percussion. Scale practice needn't be dull when you've got some percussion to play with. So, G minor, for example. Why not? Why not, indeed. Scales, when you play your scales on the criteria, it talks about tone and about accuracy of the notes or the intonation, but also about rhythmic flow. You know, these things, they're all important. And rhythmic flow you can really garner from listening to something like that. You could make it as complicated as you like, you know. Because actually, the more things you have there, the more you can delineate those actual beats. Well, it's in the scales; they're technically quavers. You can do long tonic or sort of equal notes at violin in any grade, but you can use it for arpeggios. Arpeggios are in more of a 6/8 time, so you'd need to actually set something up that's a little bit. But it's about timing. It's about thinking about that beat and thinking about that pulse. So every time you play scales in an exam, you are really sure of your timing. It's so important because actually, if you play slowly and you've got your timing sorted out, everything else like shifts between positions or the notes themselves or anything else can really fall onto that basis of timing and rhythm. So there we go. There is a method of doing your music practice when you are not playing the piano. You've got a solo instrument. You can use GarageBand to help you.